Ephesians chapter 2 in verses 15 and 16 continues to talk about what God has accomplished in Christ. It says he has abolished the law with its commandments and ordinances, that he might create in himself one new humanity in place of the two, thus making peace, and might reconcile both groups to God in one body through the cross, thus putting to death that hostility through it. I know I probably sound like a broken record. That's a dated image, isn't it? In talking about reconciling Jew and Gentile, it's just woven all through the letter to the Ephesians, because presumably that was a challenge in the church of how did you deal with the Jewish people and their view of the commandments and the ordinances, and we have to obey the full law of Moses and all that it says in the Torah. And you have Paul saying, coming as a very observant Jew, no, in Christ, God has abolished the law with its commandments and ordinances. And so this barrier of the laws and the covenant that separated the Jewish people, and it's what made them distinctive from those people around them. It's like Paul says, that whole wall has come down. It's all knocked down because God's desire has been to create in Christ one new humanity in place of the two. So there was no longer this distinction between Jew and Gentile. And I'll tell you honestly, one of the things that frustrates me in our culture at the present time is that it seems like we have more and more groups emphasizing or trying to say, look, we're different and we want to be recognized for our differences, whatever those differences may be. And rather than emphasizing, what do we share in common? What are the things that bind every single human being, every single member of our nation, if you will? What do we share? And why not also focus on that a little bit more, rather than on what divides us or makes us different? And Paul is trying to share in Christ those things, the law, the commandments, the ordinances that made Jew different from Gentile, that's all going away. And that God is creating in Christ one new humanity in place of the two, that he might reconcile both groups to God, so that all of us, no matter who we are, what group we affiliate with, we can be reconciled to God. And this is all done through Jesus' death on the cross. And thanks to his sacrificial death, it also puts to death the hostility that existed between Jews and Gentiles. As you're going to hear me say as we talk throughout Ephesians 2 and much of this letter, part of what Paul was writing about so long ago is still really urgent for us today. Christ has broken down the dividing wall between Jew and Gentile, between people who are different. God's desire to create one new humanity. And tomorrow we'll talk more about God's desire for us to be at peace with those both near and far.